Hey, welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Osborn, and on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share some of their atomic impactful lessons that they've learned so they can share those with us as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everyone hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and get sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, or endless social media posting. If you want to find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. It's Jason A. Osborn, and the link will be in the show notes below. But today's guest is Clay Hicks. And Clay is the owner of H7 Network, where he specializes in empowering professionals to leverage their relationships both within the H7 network and beyond. We were just chatting earlier before the show started, and looking forward to jumping into this. So, Clay, I've got a question that I always ask people,
Yeah.
and I'm really curious to hear what you have to say around this. If you were to somehow be able to travel back in time, so when you first started, maybe it's H7, maybe you've owned other businesses before, but you were able to go back to that you when you're just getting started and you're excited, green behind the ears, probably a
Mhm.
little bit naive, right, in what you're doing.
Yeah.
What's the biggest piece of advice that you'd give your younger version of yourself?
Uh, Start building relationships earlier. Really,
Okay,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Expand on that. Why is that important? Why would you tell yourself that piece of advice?
Because back then, I was in search of relationships. But the challenge was leading up to that moment where I began to start the search, apparently did not see value in having them. Okay. And
Yeah.
in my 20s, I started my first business when I was 23. And at the time, I worked at a steel mill. And
Okay.
so I really didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't even know I could sell. I didn't know nothing about myself except for I was driven. I knew that. So,
Yeah.
so because I didn't know much about myself, I mean, it was pretty rough for the first few years. I mean, sure, I had success, but I also had many failures, especially in the relationship arena, thing like that. So I ended up
Yeah.
losing everything when I was 26. So
Wow.
that's
Wow, man. Yeah. Um, I want to dive a little bit deeper in this topic, and the reason why is this. This has been a challenge for me when I was younger as well, and I've had to work really hard on it. I'm naturally quite an introverted type person,
yeah.
even though I speak from stages all around the world and I do podcasts and stuff like that. But naturally, I'm very, very introverted. And when I was in my early 20s, I had some advice from someone that I was working with, and I was trying to go out and sell and said, just go out, stop trying to sell, and just talk to people. And Clay, I did not understand that at all. I was so confused by that. I was like, how am I supposed to sell? He said, stop thinking about something. Just go talk. Just build relationships. I say, I don't get it. How does it work? So talk to me a little bit more about that because it kind of sounds like we probably had some similar issues when we were
Yeah.
younger.
Well, yeah. I mean, essentially, I mean, I'll just say it like I just wasn't good to people, low character, things that I, of course, now value the opposite. Um, but the building of the relationships, I'm an introvert by nature as well,
Yeah.
and so I'm a practicing extrovert, is the way I say.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, to be transparent, like nobody actually told me to do that. Okay, it wasn't until 2014 that I actually became more and more intentional around it. Like I just didn't. I was really messy, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I knew
Yeah.
I didn't want to pitch everybody I met. I knew that. Um, I I but there was a lot of things I didn't know either. And so
Yeah.
so for me, I knew I wanted relationships, and that's kind of how it began. Like when I started H7, I put together five relationships, five friends that helped me to
Yeah.
do it, and they helped me to do it. And still today in H7, a leadership team is made up of five people. 17 years ago. So
Wow.
if I could start a networking group of 5 people, so can everybody else, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we supply that. So the point is, though, that I was really messy back then, and I just kind of I was overly transactional. But when I began raising my little girls, my biological daughters, at that time when I lost everything, I really had to like transform to like even raise them. So there was a lot of my own personal challenges that I needed to go through and grow from. And so it
yeah,
wasn't time until 2014 until I got real intentional about building relationships.
yeah. What's
Okay.
yeah, well, what's beyond the obvious, right? And I want to go a little bit deeper than this, because obviously everyone knows the surface answer, like what's the importance of building relationships. Everyone kind of, well, they kind of understand it on a surface level. What's the real benefit of that? What impact does it actually have between whether it's in business or life or anything? What's the actual impact of that?
Uh, to me now has been invaluable. I mean,
Hmm.
somebody asked me a few months back, they asked me how many like champion relationships do I have around me. Now, champion relationship is somebody that I've established like, know, and trust with, deeper trust. So if I ask for something, they will give it. If they ask me for something, I will give it. Period.
Yeah,
There's no questions asked. Those type of relationships are invaluable. And somebody asked me how many I really have, and it's hundreds. It's hundreds.
yeah,
And so the impact is still being felt. There was it. There's impacts this today that will be felt from relationships that were built long ago that are
yeah,
still moving and providing energy to myself and me providing energy back to, and all these things that it just makes it all so much better. I've become such a rich man because of it. You
yeah,
can take my money all away all you want, but boy, at the end of the day, I got my relationships and I can do anything that I need to do because of it.
yeah,
That's the kind of checks we all wish we could cash.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Um, one of the kind of cliche phrases that I think we all know is your net worth is dependent on your network, you
Uh-huh.
know?
Uh-huh.
And it took a long time for me to really understand that. And when I started building more and more relationships with people, I that's when things really started to grow. Because as you said, you're able to just tap into resources that you just don't have, you know?
Insane amount of resources. Insane amount of resources.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Would you like to know an example, real quick one?
yeah, yeah. Go for it.
Yeah,
Because I was,
let me tell you about this one. Okay, so now there are so many that happen for me. I'm such a blessed man, such a rich man. So we're having issues with UX in our community. Okay,
yeah,
meaning that we had a certain type of person that like wrap their mind around it very quickly, what we do, how we do it, all these things. And then there's a section of people or a number of people that love the idea of it, but may not be able to connect with it for communication purposes, right? Just,
hmm,
hey, I don't read that the same, is what I'm getting at. And you never know, when you build your operations, you build the operations for what you will have. Okay. Well, when you notice that they need to shift to communicate and connect deeper with who you now have, you have to keep pushing that out. And surrounding myself with great people is just part of my life. And so a member come up to me, his name is Frank, and he said, "Hey, user experience sucks." I'm paraphrasing.
yeah,
And now he's a tech guy, super intelligent, very successful, uh, lives his life doing his thing. And he's not trying to bother nobody. He's just trying to get involved in the community. He's just being transparent with me.
yeah,
And I'm like, well, you know, uh, what are your thoughts around it? And so he's like, well, I want to help you. Now, this
yeah.
guy's a user experience consultant. He doesn't have to do this for me at all for free. He doesn't.
Hmm.
In fact, he just paid me. This is how valuable that relationship is. He just
Yeah,
paid to join the community, then says, "Hey, I want to help." And I'm like, okay. Let's do it.
Okay.
And we spent 90 days together, working together every week, doing the thing, him advising me, telling me to fix this. I had other people, of course, and I don't want to discount any of those other relationships, but I just wanted to tell you for that specific story how invaluable those relationships really can be.
Yeah, yeah. It's really interesting because I was listening to something probably about 2 years ago now, and one of the things I can't even remember what I was listening to or who I was listening to, but they were talking about why oftentimes the children of successful business owners often end up usually being doing quite well in life and stuff. Not all the time, but oftentimes.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because I think a lot of times people think, oh, well, they grew up with money, or they, this or that or whatever. And it was really interesting because who the person I was asking the question, the guy who answered it, he said the reason why he goes is not because of the money or anything like that. It's because the kids have access to their parents' network
Uh-huh.
that most people don't have access to, and they
Right.
have to work to get into it. And there's nothing wrong with getting work and get into it, but he says successful people just have access. And it's really interesting because, you mentioned your daughters. I have three kids, and it's really interesting seeing them growing up now because as a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, we were in London at a big event, and my kids were sitting at a table with people that other people would have killed to be at the table,
Yeah.
and it's that sort of stuff. And I think that is just highlights what you're saying there as well. It's those invaluable connections and the network around it. And I didn't grow up with that. And
Yeah.
it didn't sound like you did either. And so I love hearing what you're saying around that because you can still build it. Particularly, even for those that go, oh, I'm an introvert, I'm not good at this. You can. It's definitely possible.
One person at a time. An introvert can handle one person at a time. They sure can. Now
Exactly.
they may run out of gas after say 10 in a row, sure, but
Yeah.
they can do one. They can do
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. They can do one and just keep building up from that. And it's the long-term game, you
Yeah.
know. As a matter of fact, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Clay. Like what's your the long-term game of relationships? Because I think sometimes people go in, they want a real quick fix, they want a quick win, they want to build a relationship, get a really quick result or outcome from that.
Yeah.
Um, Talk to me about that because I can tell by the smile on your face, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do, I do. All right, so I have this quote and then I'm going to answer your question. When you focus on relationships and not the outcomes become more predictable. And so
Mm,
that's the mantra or the slogan around connect, serve, and ask methodology. Okay. And so the long-term plan, I am I'm I am happily, joyfully building relationships with other networking groups across the world and across the United States. And so the long-term plan for that is to establish a stronger establish a stronger foothold in the community for small business to actually physically be able to develop the relationships instead of playing uh, having all kinds of struggles just getting there to start with. Okay.
yeah.
Because long before when an entrepreneur starts their business, long before they meet us most of the time, the networking group, they've already been to a chamber or two. They've already started that because it's right there in the local town. So they're just going to go
Yeah.
and knock on the door.
Yeah.
And so establishing a stronger foothold in the value of networking to support them across the world, to support professionals across the world, not just one group, not just two, not just, no, no, no. We all the networking groups across the world can do a much better job to serve their people
Mm,
and their communities. And I say if we band together, we can. And we
yeah.
can support them at a very, very high level, support them forever that way with ripple effects that I will never be alive to see
Yeah. Yeah.
by the
Yeah.
time it plays out all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
love that.
so my objective is to serve at the highest level with other networking group CEOs. I work with 16 of them now. Okay. Which doesn't sound like a lot. To me, it is a lot because they're the big ones. They're not
Hmm.
one that just got started, all of them, right? So we're trying to
Yeah.
connect with all of them, though. That would be the point. So the value in having relationships like that is like 10 times what I can ever do alone, more than
Yeah.
probably 100 times than I could ever do alone, to the impact to that local small business that just picked up brand new keys to their office, or to the brand new car that they bought because they're a entrepreneur, solopreneur out there as a realtor, whatever it is, the
Yeah.
simplest entrepreneur getting started across
Yeah.
the world. For now, across the United States, but eventually across the world, hopefully.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love hearing the big vision around that, because it is that the relationships there, it's the long term side of things. And I know just hearing what you've said as well, I've had relationships as well where they just start off as just a chat, and then it develops into something much bigger down the road, and might end up working together or referring business to each other or whatever the case may be. And going back to that piece of advice that was a mentor of mine a long time ago, just said, just go out and talk to people. I keep calling you Chris, Clay. It took me, I think, 5 years before I actually understood what that guy meant. So I didn't learn very fast. I wish I would have learned a lot sooner from what he was trying to say, man. But I love that. I love what you do, man. I can see it all over your face. You just love helping people. So I really appreciate that. If people want to learn more about like what you do, or about H7, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you, find you?
Oh, yeah, on LinkedIn. So
Okay.
so so you'll find me. I'm in Dayton, Ohio. It's where I live. Uh, I go by Clay Hicks. I got a super cool fedora I wear and for my brand, and when I do presentations and speaking engagements. And so yeah, connect with me. But here's the deal: connect with me, but don't try to sell me something.
Yeah.
Don't send me a connection and then a connection request, and then I accept it, and you turn around and then you got to sell me something.
Yeah.
However, if I accept your connection and you would like to meet with me for a one-to-one, I am more than happy. My goal is to meet with 10,000 people, one-to-ones that do not include a single member, leader, anybody associated with my community. I hit 9,000 this Thursday since August of
That's awesome.
2014, and I'm not quitting until I get to 10,000. I don't know if I'm supposed to quit then either, but that's my goal. And or that's what I understand it. So please connect with me. We'll do a one-to-one. We'll talk about building relationships. Not trying to pitch you nothing. Let's just
Yeah.
see how we can help each other out.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And totally agree with you. I always say the same thing to people. Don't pitch. There's so many better ways to be able to build relationships and
Yeah.
actually get business as well from it. So, hey, Clay, thanks so much for being on the show. And again, everyone listening, thanks for listening. As a reminder, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everyone hates. They just mentioned one of them. We don't do any of that stuff either. But find out more, message me on LinkedIn as well, Jason A. Osborn, and the link will be in the show notes below. And we'll chat to you guys next time. Cheers.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you for having me on.